You know, getting diagnosed with stage 2 thyroid cancer was probably the last thing I ever thought was going to happen to me at that point in life. I remember I got in a terrible car accident. I completely blacked out while driving, and you know, doctors are wondering, what's going on? You're a healthy 31-year-old female. Why are you blacking out while driving? But during the MRI, when I got taken to the hospital for head and neck injuries for that car accident, we found a small mass on the right side of my neck. So I remember a doctor saying, you're young, you're healthy, 99% of the time it's benign. So I wasn't even worried about it. And the day after Thanksgiving, I had a biopsy. And I remember my alarm on my phone going off saying biopsy appointment, because that's how not worried I was. I'm just having a conversation with the doctor. I just told him I just signed a lease on my brand new retail space, my dream space. I just wrote a check for $30,000 to renovate the space out of my own money. Like, I was excited for what's going on. The holidays were about ready to happen. And then he's like, all right, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I'll get your results. So just like on my phone, and then 15 minutes later, he comes back and his face is completely different. So he hands me this piece of paper and it says, stage 2 papillary thyroid cancer, you know, we'll need surgery, we'll need radiation. And those are big words when you're looking at it on a simple piece of paper. And I still have this little 2x2 piece of paper. I don't know why I keep it, but I still have it. And I just remember walking to my car and just bawling. And I called my mom. The first phone call I made was my mom. And then she didn't know how to take it and she's crying. And I'm like, okay, I gotta collect myself before I make those phone calls. And then I remember driving to Whole Foods. I have no idea why I drove to Whole Foods. And then I call my then boyfriend, who's now my fiance, and he even said, where are you? I'm coming to get you. He pulls up next to me, just gets in my car, and we just sit there for like an hour. So yeah, it's talking about it can still even get me like emotionally charged up, that's for sure. Telling my son I had cancer was hard. You know, I actually told the world on Instagram I had cancer before I told my son, because that was easier than telling my son. And I just knew, because I had doctor's appointments coming up and my mom was constantly visiting and my phone was constantly going off, that he could sense something was going on. And he came home after school one day, he's on the floor, and I just said, hey buddy, you know, Mommy has a lot of things going on. There's going to be people helping out a lot. Your daddy's going to be helping. Your abuela's going to be helping. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, Mommy's really sick. She has cancer. I can't believe I'm going to cry. And when your son looks at you and says, are you going to die? That's really scary. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah. You know, kids are so resilient that for him, I think he's been with me for so long, just me and him, that he has seen Mommy go through so many things, like going through hard things together. We always say we take on the world together. It's kind of normal for our lives. And I was just like, no, Mommy's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna have a lot of doctor's appointments and some things called surgery and some treatment. And he goes, okay. And he just I think it was way harder for me to tell him. You know, we have this little inside thing where he truly thinks I'm Wonder Woman. Like, I tell him I sneak away at night and then I'm Wonder Woman. He honestly thinks I'm a superhero. So for him, I think Mommies just can do anything. And so for him, he just moved on. For me, it was much harder than it would ever be for him. Being diagnosed with autoimmune disorders and then cancer on top of that, and then losing 160 pounds, like, my body has gone through a lot. And I fail to sometimes realize what my body has done for me. And one of the biggest things that pop out to me is after I had my surgery, my fiance takes me home and I just look at myself in the mirror and I'm crying and I say I look terrible, and you know, I have a scar across my neck and I'm puffy from all the medicine and I just don't look like myself. And he looks at me and hugs me from behind and says, you're beautiful. And I wish I would have believed that. But instead I was more concerned about how I looked post-surgery. And months later, I went back to that moment and I just go, wow, how silly of me to think that way when my body just beat cancer, or my body survives every day with 2 autoimmune disorders, or my body allowed me to lose 160 pounds and work out every day and be able to move every day and keep up with my son every day. Like, why am I not more thankful? And sometimes I do have to slap myself back in reality, because just like any female, we have days where we're like, ugh, I don't look good, and oh, I don't like this about myself. But at the end of the day, my body beat cancer. You know, my body is surviving with autoimmune disorders. I should be jumping over the moon for that. And it brings me back. It humbles me. My autoimmune disorders, my cancer diagnosis humbled me to great lengths that I could never imagine before.